Hello, thank you for tuning in to this week's read. These readings are valid for when you come to them. For the tarot, I'm using Wild Reflections Tarot by Weispell. I think I'm saying that right. There's a couple things with it. There is this QR code, I think is what it's called, with some information on it. So feel free to freeze frame on that if you want that information. There's also the website on the back, weispell.com. So if you want to see that, you can freeze frame and get that information if you want it. Weispell, I think, is down over here somewhere. Okay. For the Oracle cards, Wisdom of the Hidden Realms by Colette Baron Reid. I want to say the websites are here in the back. I'm pretty sure there's a Colette Baron Reid website. I don't know if it's at the bottom of that, though. I thought I already had this out. There's the illustrator information there. If you want it, feel free to freeze frame and check out what you would like to see. And then ColetteBaronReid.com. Yeah, it's in the back of the book. There we go. Hopefully that's focusing so you can see it. Okay. And I use dice as well. I use a 22-sided dice. I replaced 22 with 0 for the major arcana. And then I use a 14-sided dice for the minor arcana. And I use a 4-sided dice to choose the element of the minor arcana. Math Art Fun. MathArtFun.com. Hopefully you can see that one too. Through that bag. MathArtFun.com. If you're interested. That's where those dice came from. Okay, with that being said, if you'd like a reading from me, shoot me an email, james4astral@gmail.com, james4astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below, same email. Thank you very much for watching, and let's get into your reading. Hello, Cancer. Thank you very much for tuning in to this week's read. These readings are valid for whenever you come to them. That being said, what do we have for Cancer? Got some Pentacle energy coming in. That can work well with Cancer. Oh, and your card coming up. A lot of Pentacles, actually. Three of Wands at the end. Something moving forward at some point. Now this might be an interesting reading. Is there change happening is a good question. I keep wondering. The thing is, I feel like, and maybe this is how I interpret Cancer. Of course, if you think I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. Cancer is usually not very warm and fuzzy about change. They like things the way they like things, and that's that. But there can be exceptions to that. And if Cancer is more in control of the change, I feel like that goes better. Kind of like, all right, we're going to change this. If I can be the one controlling that, what will and what won't, okay. So, for example, if I'm going to use, like, it's time to move, got to move, whatever. If you're kind of like, yeah, we have outgrown this house or whatever, and then you're like, all right, we do need to go. It's time. The time is coming. But you get to choose what neighborhood, what type of house, all that other good stuff, who's going to live there, who's not, where they're going to be, where they're not. You know, like, or you get to say, like, you can have any floor, you can have any room on the second floor, and you get to choose what room you want, and, you know, you have control of, like, where this is going to be, where that's going to be. It's kind of like, okay, we can do that. Okay. But if somebody was going to say the same scenario, you got to get out and find somewhere, and you got 2 days, whatever you can find, and you're subject to everybody else's whims. That's not the type of change you're really into. Like, but who is, I guess you would say. But still, like, I don't know that there's stress here as much as kind of like, well, at least not stress for you. There's stress for other people. You do seem to have some, like, I don't know what's going on. Things are going quickly. But it does feel like you have more, you know, ability to make the choice. Like, this is what I want to happen. I could see, like, maybe I have 5 different choices, and I'm like, I want this one. I want that one. And I also get to say, like, if we're going to do the house thing, you get to choose the color scheme. Maybe you're going to paint the walls a different color. Maybe you're going to have some upgrades and some updates. You have a lot of control here. And I feel like this is what's actually kind of like, you don't know what's going to go on, but you know that you have a lot of control. And it feels really good. Kind of like, if we have to do this, at least I have a lot of say in what's going to go on. It does seem to be coming in fast. You've avoided this once, is what I'm also getting to. Whatever the change is, you have avoided it once. But you knew when that happened that, like, all right, I avoided it this time. Yeah. The world tried to come in. You knew it was just a delay. You held it off. But you knew this, you were not going to hold this off forever. You knew. It came forward, the change tried to happen, and you got away from it. You also knew that this was not going to work forever. So it's kind of like, all right, this house, for whatever reason, maybe you were renting this house from somebody else. Maybe the current place you're renting a home. And you're like, all right, I thought they were going to sell it to somebody else, or this, that, or the other thing was going to happen. Didn't happen that way. Maybe you signed, I don't know, I keep thinking a 2-year lease. I guess that's a thing. I don't know if that's a thing for some people. I thought they were year leases, but whatever it may be. Maybe a 2-year lease. And you're like, all right, so then I know I'm safe for 2 years, just for argument's sake. You knew very well. This has a shelf life. There's a timer on this situation. This has a shelf life, and I think you took it extremely seriously. And you've been paying attention ever since. So I feel like that's one of the reasons. Like, maybe you're kind of like, no, I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming, and I've been preparing. I've been getting ready. I've been taking my time with it, but I knew how much time I had roughly, so I just kind of went with it. Because I get that the moment's coming forward. And you have a plan already set in motion. 3 and the Page of Pentacles. 3 of Pentacles is the 3 of Pentacles, right? Yeah. And the Page of Pentacles. I get that, yeah, I knew this was coming. I feel like I had the heads up. I got around it once. I knew I wasn't going to get around it a second time, and I knew it was going to return. So I was ready. I keep getting that I made peace with it. So for your energy, I do feel like you've made peace with it. You know why you made peace with it. I feel like if I go down that road, I feel like I'm wasting your time. You know why you made peace with it. If this reading is hitting, you know why you made peace with it. 6 of Pentacles coming in with the Web Weaver, Spirit Whisperer. So it's divine guidance. Things are lining up where they need to line up. And it's going, like, I feel like I've been paying attention and I've been getting ready. For example, maybe we already bought the house that I know we're going to move into, and it was a fixer-upper. Kind of like, okay, we have 2 years, and then halfway through that, we found what we wanted. It was going to take a lot of work, though. We saw what we wanted, and normally we'd be like, no, that's going to take a lot of work. But we have a whole nother year for this lease, and we can afford to, so let's buy that house now. It's a fixer-upper, so it's cheaper. That gives us a whole 12 months to put it together and make it livable the way we want it and make it what we want it. And we can just move in when we're ready. We have a whole year to work on it and make it up to par. Let's do it. And I feel like this is how this feels to me. Like, you've been ready. You've been ready and you've worked on it the way you needed to. You used it to your best of your abilities. You're ready. I feel like you're ready. So this feels like this is even though there's a lot of mystery with this, it does feel like you're more than ready for this. And you have been playing the give and take game. You've been very generous with certain pieces, and you've been very selective and very, I don't like the word selfish because that's not the way this feels to me. You've been giving with certain things, and you've looked out for yourself with other things. Excuse me. Hiccups there make me wonder. Do you think, or has somebody else accused you of being selfish about something? I don't think that's fair if that's the case, because there's certain things you're very giving on. Other things you're not willing to bend. And I feel like that's fair. I do feel like that's fair. Now, if it's certain things that other people are like, well, I want that too, so the fact that you got it, that makes you selfish, that's not right. See that for what it is. If somebody's playing that game with you, see that for what it is. Just because they wanted it too, and you decided, look, I'm not giving that up, I don't want to. I'll give you this other stuff, but I'm not giving you that. It's kind of like looking at, like, there's extra food here. And you're like, they're like, well, you took the cake. And you're like, yeah, but I left you the vegetables, I left you something. But hey, you did leave them something. It's not like you took everything. I don't feel bad about it. I don't feel bad about it. And I don't think you need to. As we keep moving forward, this situation really goes where you want it to go. The season of the sisters, I'm saying it backwards. Sisters of the season. It came forward. It's kind of like knowing winter is coming. Like Game of Thrones. Was Game of Thrones when winter is coming? You knew it was coming. You were ready. This is going the way you want it to. There's no reason to feel bad about this. You don't have to twist yourself into a pretzel over this. It's very interesting. Cancer is a very interesting sign. Because there's certain things it feels like you can be extremely giving, and there's other things that you can be very, like, this is for me, and very, like, I don't like the way self-centered sounds, because it's not bad if you're balancing it. Everybody should have things that they do for themselves. Everybody should have, like, that self-preservation energy. Like, there's certain things you just do for you, and having that boundary is not a bad thing. And I keep coming up with these negative references from it, and I'm wondering if that's how people are kind of throwing it at you. And it's not, because you are giving on certain things. You just choose what those things are, and if they don't like it, they can find somebody else. I don't know. I'm not really. I just feel like that's not fair. Like, you give. The thing is, that's the tricky thing with Cancer. Sometimes you're giving and you're way too giving. So it's kind of like there's a balance that has to be kind of met there. The situation is going to your benefit. Don't give everything to everybody else's needs. Don't give up to everybody else's needs. Don't just do it so that everybody else is happy. But give some, but not everything. How do you balance this out? Because I get don't do the Three of Cups. They're saying do the Page of Cups. Make sure you get what you want first and let people choose what they want after. So the analogy I'm getting, hopefully this makes sense, is kind of like if you have 50 things and there's 5 of you, everybody's going to get 10. Everybody's going to get 10. Have everybody pick 2 at a time in order. You pick first. You pick the first 2 that you want. The next person picks theirs all the way down. Just keep going just keep going like that. I feel like that's fair. I don't know why, but there's a reason where I feel like if we put it in order, like, you're picking first and all the way down to the 5th person. You pick your first 2 things, somebody else picks their 2, and it just keeps going like that until it's done. I don't know why we're picking 2 instead of 1, but they're saying pick 2. It works out for the best for you. And I almost feel like there's a reason we would decide how the order goes. It's almost like, I know we did this at some places I've worked, like when they're picking vacation, it goes based on seniority. The first people get to pick what weeks they want, and then it goes down the line, blah, 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 blah. It kind of reminds me of that. That way you get to have what you want, and like, the 5th person in line doesn't get the best choices, but they do get some good choices. Because, like, 20 things are gone. Well, not 20 things, but 18 things are gone by the time they get their choice, but they're still getting a good choice. And it's kind of like there's a reason they're at that part of the line. I keep getting there's a reason they're there. So, especially if they're not going to be there forever, they're just going to be there for a little while, so they get choices, but not. So, like, if we're moving into a new house, and, like, we're talking about painting, and, like, who's going to get what room and stuff like that, it's kind of like the people who are going to live there the longest, like if you and your spouse are going to live there, you get first choice because you're going to live there the longest. And then, like, the people who are the youngest, because they're going to live there longer than the older people, they get their choices next because they don't have to, that way they don't have to move their rooms when the other people move out. I don't know. To me, that makes sense, especially if you have a person that's moving in, they're only going to be there a year. It's kind of like there's no reason they should have best pick when they're going to move out in a year, and then we get back in this, like, who gets that room if somebody else wants it. And if we do it that other way, it just seems to make better sense. Kind of like if you're going to be the longest, people are going to be there the longest, get first pick. I don't know. I keep using that house analogy, but hopefully that makes sense. you get to create the situation in a very positive way. You also get first choice, but you're allowing other people to have choices. That seems to be the advice there. Other people don't like that. They want more control, but this is your thing. This isn't their thing. Other people want the control and they get very stressed about this and they want. I keep getting whatever the situation is, I keep getting that house analogy, especially if you're the one who's paying for the house. In my world, in my brain, the person paying for the bills gets first choice. I mean, I don't know. Think about that the way you want to think about that. But as it keeps going down the road, there's going to be things changing over. The situation's going to keep evolving, is what I keep getting. I feel like this is another reason that you should pick first. You should have first choice because it's going to keep evolving. It's going to keep moving forward. It's looking back and kind of realizing as time goes on that it's a good thing that you made the first choice. For some of you, I'm getting another house analogy. I've seen this play out with somebody, and I thought this was interesting. I saw two people move in together, and I didn't know this at the time. One person's name was on the deed, and the other wasn't, for whatever reason. They were not legally bound, if that makes sense. They weren't married or anything. But they were seeing each other. I didn't know that at the time, but it turned out the person making all the choices for how the house was going to look, the colors in the house, the furniture, all that stuff, one person was making all those decisions. And ultimately, that was the person who owned the house and kept the house when that relationship dissolved. So it made sense in the long run. You making these decisions now will make better sense in the long run, is what I'm also getting from this when I see that reflection card, Lady in the Mirror. So long term, that will work out. This situation has more developments to come. Whatever the situation is for you, it seems like this is a long-term investment that's going to have a lot of dividends come your way. Dividends can be money, dividends could be connections with people, benefits, something that you like from it. Just keep that in mind. All right, I think we're there. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4. Astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below, same email. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.